Yeah, but welcome back to the first 11. This is the United. We're going to be talking about the City United game. What a great game. I enjoyed that game. That was a great game for me. We've got Jan, obviously, all over the place at the moment doing streams whenever Man City play, especially big games. She's on every stream. Sarcasm City has her own channel. That's in the description. Go and check that out. And she runs a show here on Thursday night. So whenever you already subscribed, you know the channel. You know how good she is when she's running shows, when she's on streams, talks facts. And obviously co-host Rachel here, United Perspective. And I'll try and be a little bit more neutral if I can. I doubt I can be, but I'll give it a go. So firstly, I want to talk about the substitutions and the starting lineup for Man City, because I feel that's a really big one. Because Man City, Aguero, for me, outstanding player. Do you feel like he's done at City? And if not, why do you think Pep hasn't been playing him?
Do you know what? Like, I'd love to say no because I love Aguero, but it just seems to be that he just can't seem to get on the pitch. I thought he would play in the Manchester derby, to be honest, and maybe if the score was different, maybe he would have. The problem with Aguero is when he comes back from an injury, it does take him a few games to sort of get into it and be effective. And I think that's probably why he didn't play in the Manchester derby, because Pep probably knows that if he comes on, he's not really going to get a goal. And we were always chasing that game. So I think that might be why we didn't see him. We did see him the other day, but he didn't play too many minutes. So, yeah, I don't know. Apparently, he's got a problem with his ankle where he could only play sort of half of the game or whatever. So I don't really know. I think he'll leave at the end of the season. Man City have this policy where if you are injury prone, you have to prove that you can play something like 50% of the games or at least, I don't know, however many percentage of the games, you've got to prove that you can play that. And if you can't, they won't renew your contract, basically. I think it's a little bit different if you're younger, but I think when you get into like the latter years, like Fernandinho, apparently he's available for a certain amount of games to get an extension. So we don't know till the end of the season whether he'll get that or not. And I think the same is for Aguero. So I don't know. There's a lot of people interested in him. He's still a great player. So I don't know. Yeah, I'd like to see him stay another year, but I can't see it. I think he'll go. The only way I think he'll stay is if Messi came, but I don't think Messi's going anywhere. So yeah, I think he'll go at the end of the season, unfortunately.
Do you think there's any part of Pep's thinking that we're in a cup final, we're still in the Champions League, there's a long way to go in the season, we're top of the league, we're clear in terms of points right now. Do you think it's a case of, I don't need Aguero right now, but at some stage I probably will? You think that's part of it? You know, if it's a cup final, Spurs, you're like, I don't know, 2-1 down, Aguero's the guy you bring on, right?
Yeah. I think, like I say, I think if that derby goes differently, say it's the other way around and Man City get an early penalty and then they go on and make it 2-0. I think Aguero comes on in that game. But because we were chasing the game, like I said, I don't think he would rely on Aguero, even though it sounds stupid because it's Aguero. But I don't think he could rely on Aguero to sort of score the winner in that sort of game. So I don't know. It's interesting. He has, obviously, we are in a lot of competitions. He has played here and there, but not enough, really. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's saving him for today because it's Southampton. Maybe if we go 2-0 up, tomorrow. Maybe if we go 2-0 up, he'll bring him on. I don't know. But if he doesn't sort of play the next game, I think he will be unhappy himself because I think it's obvious that he wants to play. Do you know what I mean? You could see by his face in the United game that he was like, I want to play. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what Pep's thing is. I know Pep doesn't really like playing strikers. That's what Arteta said, and you can see it from when he's played a false nine. I know the start of the season we didn't have a striker fit, But I don't know whether, because he started at the start of the season and it worked really well, I don't know if he's just continuing with that. I'm not too sure. Or whether he actually genuinely does not want a striker. I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
So, okay, so what about the way City set up? Because we spoke before the game, and you pretty much said you've never been so confident about a Manchester derby, right? So,
well,
that's before the lineup, though, wasn't it? That was before the lineup. So,
yeah.
Did the lineup change your mind when you seen it?
Well, a lot of City fans were like, because I checked my inbox because obviously I was on a watch along, so I didn't see it. And when after the game, when I looked, all these people had inboxed me saying that lineup, I'm not sure, it's not good. And I was like, to be honest, I think the lineup that he has played that lineup before this season, and they've gone on and won the game. So I don't know. I think if the minute we give away that penalty, it changes everything. Because game plans out the window. Because you don't go into the game and expect to be 1-0 down after 30 seconds. So already, I feel like we kind of threw the game in the first minute. That being said, obviously we got back into the game a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I think that lineup should have been good enough to go out there and win it. I don't think he didn't play like a weak lineup. I just would have personally gone with Foden up front. So when I was predicting the team, I was saying I'd play Fernandinho because Fernandinho is our best player at cutting out counter-attacking football. And he did it last time. That's why we got a draw at Old Trafford, because he played Fernandinho. So I said I would have started Fernandinho and I would have started Phil Foden. And I was surprised because Fernandinho didn't play at the weekend. In midweek, I thought it's definitely going to be Fernandinho. So when I saw that Fernandinho wasn't playing, I was a bit like, oh, I don't know. Rodri has been playing well, but he's not Fernandinho. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to counter-attacking football. So I was a bit, when I saw the lineup, I was like, we are good enough, but it was a little bit. And then when Gabby gave away the pen, it was just like, they just looked like, because I actually said on the watch along, I was like, do you know what's weird? I was like, I don't know out of this team who's going to score today. I was like, I can't see any of these players scoring. And then obviously we didn't. So I don't know. It's a bit of a weird one because before the game I was a bit like, yeah, he's going to play Foden. He's going to play Fernandinho. We should win. But then I don't know. Like, I'm not making excuses because I really do think that City weren't good enough, to be honest. Like, they had time to get into the game. They had chances that they didn't put away. Pep never changes things, so I don't think subs really comes into it. Even when we're winning 21 games in a row, he still doesn't make subs. So that's just sort of him. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really know. I honestly think if we played all night, we wouldn't have scored because we didn't look like scoring in that game. So
I'd agree. I'd agree with that. But so after the penalty, there's still a long way to go in the game, right?
Yeah,
still a long time to go. Really early in the game. Were you worried by that then? The fact that we were already 1-0 up, or did you think actually United can step up? We've got enough quality. We're going to keep possession, and eventually we'll create chances. We'll score goals. Is that how you've seen it, or are you like, okay, now they're going to really sit back? What was your feeling on it?
I feel like Man United went for a draw. I feel like they came for a draw. And I think Man City would have taken the draw. So what happened was, because Man United got a goal so early on, they then can get at us because we have to attack. We can't just say, okay, we're going to settle for 1-0. We have to attack. So you can do what you do best, which is counter-attack. So it's one of them things where City put themselves in a bad position in the first minute of the game. And I think from then, I just didn't know who was going to score. At the time, I was like, I can't see any of these players scoring. And then obviously, I think the second goal, was bad defending in terms of nobody even put a foot in. Like, Luke Shaw just went on a run. No one tried to tackle him. Fernandinho doesn't let that happen. Like, Fernandinho is putting a foot in.
Yeah, he's
way
next
up the
level,
pitch.
isn't
Yeah,
he? Yeah,
so
he's a
things like
special
that,
player, man.
yeah. And that's what annoyed me about him. Plus, like, somebody said it after the game, like, City fans are like, if you're talking about passion for a derby, there's 4 players that come to mind at Man City at the moment. It's Sergio Aguero, Phil Foden, Bernardo Silva, and Fernandinho. And all 4 of them didn't start. And it's like,
that's a big
a lot
call,
of City fans
that's a big call.
annoyed with the lineup. Because Bernardo Silva is the reason why we won the last derby when we won in the cup. Because he was the one that was getting, all over the pitch, basically. So I think a lot of City fans weren't happy with the lineup. But me personally, I'm not making excuses for the lineup because I think that team has played in them 21 unbeaten wins and won more than once. So for me, that team should still be going out there and at least putting up a fight, and they didn't do it. So I don't know. Yeah. It's a bad day at the office. It happens in Manchester derbies at the Etihad for some reason. Man United just seem to win there. I would feel, like I always say, I would feel more confident if that game was at Old Trafford than at the Etihad. So I don't know. I was telling
you did say that, to be fair.
Comments, and I was actually telling Neeks before the game, I was like, we're going to lose today, because the day before when I was doing all the previews, I was like, City should win. And then when I woke up in the morning, I was like, I don't think we're going to win today. I just had a bad feeling. So I remember speaking to Neeks, and I was like, we're not going to win today. And he was like, no, we'll get a draw at best. And I was like, nah, I just can't see it. And then it happens. So I don't know. But it's one of them, isn't it? City just need to do what they did when they lost the last game and just come back fighting. So hopefully they'll do that.
I've got no worries that City are going to win the league. Rachel, what was your take on the game, especially with the way City has set up the personnel? I know because we were talking throughout the whole game, but for the stream, like when you looked at the lineup and the penalty goes in, did you feel comfortable with that playing against City?
No. We both said it, that we wanted to wait until City sort of settled down a little bit. The game sort of calms down, especially when we stopped pressing after the first, say, 13, 14 minutes. We sort of sat back a little bit and gave City the impetus, let them have the ball and that. So all of our players had to be like on the ball. And we know that our players are very susceptible to making mistakes and switching off in key moments. But to me, I was very thankful that Manchester City weren't at the races, to be honest with you, because I think they misplaced. I think a few of their key players misplaced a lot of passes, gave the ball away quite a bit. I thought we pressed well as a team, as a unit, which was really good. And we sort of maintained our shape. We were very compact. We forced City into wide areas, forced them to try and get the ball into the box, which Harry Maguire could deal with, which was like really important. Which is really important when you're defending against Manchester City. You don't want them playing through the middle. So I think we did that really well in the first half.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. Have you frozen?
No, sorry. My internet just went down on my PC, and then everything went to crap, and I had to go and use my phone and said apologies.
Oh, this happens to me. Yeah. To me, most of the time, so don't worry about it. No,
it's so annoying.
Do you know what it was? It was like the penalty didn't change the game at all for me. The fact we were 1-0 up didn't change anything for me at all. I still thought it was going to be a draw at best. I agree with what you said about Neeks, what he said. But when Luke Shaw scored, I was like, we're going to do this. We're actually going to wrap this game up. We're going to nick the 3 points. It'd be Ollie, Pep. Ollie takes 4 points. Pep takes 1. The way it should be. The way it should actually be, in my opinion. I'm early 30s, so I'm used to Manchester United being at the top and Man City battling out with Newcastle. Do you know what I mean? So I want to know why is it that you feel Man City have been on this run and Man United can come and beat Man City, but Man United can't get results against teams like Crystal Palace? And I'd love Jan's point of view on this as well, because I know Jan watches a lot of football as well. She's not just watching Man City all the time. Yeah. So What do you think that is? Do you feel that's a manager problem? Is that an attitude problem? Is that the way they're set up? Is it a player problem? What is it? What causes this?
Do you know what I think it is? I think it's the fact that it's a derby is why these results can kind of happen. Like, we've seen it. Like, I say this all the time, but people just think, oh, it's because City lost. But it happens all the time. Like, I remember, like, years ago growing up when I was a kid, and like we would have the worst team, and we would go and beat Man United, and Man United would be winning like trebles and then losing to City. Like, that sort of thing happens. And I think with derbies, I know they say form goes out the window. I do kind of agree with that a little bit, because I feel like no matter what form you are in going into a derby, it can always shock you. Do you know what I mean? But like I say, like we were having a discussion yesterday about it being the most shocking result of the weekend, and I was saying, yes, based on the way City are playing and based on the way Man United are playing, it is a little bit shocking. But in terms of that result, we've seen this last season. Like, Man United beat us at home. I think the season before you beat us at home. So it's not too shocking in terms of how the Manchester derby goes. So I don't know. I think it's a little bit, some City fans' theory on it is that Pep doesn't see the derby as really important. You know how like Mancini came in and Mancini was like, you know, we need to beat Man United if we don't do anything else. But I feel like, I don't know Pep's take on it, but a lot of City fans are saying he sees Liverpool as the big game because they're the competitors. So when we play Liverpool, there's a lot more like sort of passion for the win, if you know what I mean. That's why when Liverpool come to the Etihad, you know, we've won, 5-0, 4-0. We get results like that. I think 2-1 is the closest we've had in years, and that was the tight title race. So it's almost like Pep's up for that game, but then when it's the derby, he doesn't really care that much. Like, and I don't believe that. I think Pep prepares for every game the same. I think he wants to win every single game. But that's, some City fans are saying they don't like the fact that he doesn't have that sort of passion that Mancini had when it was derby day. You know, I think I don't know. But I think he has the games that we've really needed to win against Man United, like the semi-finals, he has managed to win them games. So it's not like he can't beat Man United, but it just seems to be in the league. There's something. There's something about it. Yeah, he's just trolling. There is only one.
Yeah, we love Nix. You can carry on, Nix. Keep coming with the comments, man. I love it.
Yeah, he just winds me up. But yeah, it's one of them things. I don't know. I don't even know. Like, because it's like next season, what's going to happen? I think normally we turn up at Old Trafford. This season, we didn't even do that. So I don't know what the deal is. But I think in the first leg, we kind of cancelled each other out in the first game, because it was like you play counter-attacking football, Man City sort of sat back a little bit as well, and we sort of cancelled each other out. And the teams I thought that team that City played worked because they cancelled out United, but because we weren't clinical at that point in the season, because we weren't clinical at that point in the season, we weren't going to score. But like, we've been more clinical recently, but then we still, like I said, didn't look like we were going to score in that game. So I don't know what's going on, but I'm hoping City bounce back. That's all I'm hoping for. Because it's not
bounce
the
back.
City.
What, you're 11 points clear? What do you mean bounce back? Where do you want to be?
Yeah, I wish I was lost in it nonetheless. It scares me, you know, like everyone's saying to me like the title's wrapped up. I'm like, nah, until we're like,
I mean,
clear,
God forbid you should slip, Jan. God forbid you should slip.
You
know what I mean?
we
Rachel,
wouldn't capitalise on it anyway.
No, we wouldn't. Chelsea would.
We wouldn't.
United wouldn't. That's all
Chelsea
I'm going to say
might,
on that. Yeah, that's true.
I think City would have to lose 4 games to even
have
a chance of losing the title. Yeah, there's no chance.
Yeah.
4.
Yeah, we've lost 3 out of 28.
There's only 4.
So
Mm.
Maybe Man United have started something, you know.
Oh, I don't believe
You
that.
never know.
You know what?
You never know.
Liverpool, you never know, innit? Because Liverpool, we thought, they've only lost 1 game, they'll be fine. Then they lost 2. Then they lost 3, and then it's now 6. So it's, I don't know. It can happen, but yeah, I'd be very surprised.
You got so much quality, like throughout.
Yeah.
You are blessed with top quality.
Yeah.
Listen, you've told me before that Pep wanted Fred. I didn't believe that for a second. I think that was all PR because he's one of our biggest problems. I think Rachel would agree with that. But what is your take on why Man United can perform in games against City? Maybe it is just a derby thing. I don't know, but we should be able to perform or at least score 1 goal against teams like Palace, right? What's going on there? What's the issue?
I don't know. I think with United.
Hold on.
Oh, you talked to me?
I have no idea.
Sorry.
Sorry, was I breaking up? I said to Ray. I was asking Rachel.
Oh, sorry.
About why we can go to a team like Man City, who, for me, like even on their worst day, with the quality that you have, should be able to beat Man United off the back of a Premier League game where they couldn't score a goal playing against Crystal Palace. Why can Man United turn up, score goals against a Man City in form, clear at the top, but can't perform against a Crystal Palace? And we watched that game. That was 5-yard, couldn't make 5-yard passes, poor decisions all over the pitch. Why is that? What's happening there?
So basically, I think what our team is very good at and what Ollie's actually done really well with our team is that we know how to defend against City. And that's huge because if you don't concede against City, then you're guaranteeing a win or a draw. And we know how to defend against them because if you notice, we always force them in wide areas and we're very compact in the middle of the pitch. So if you force City wide and force them to put poor crosses into the box, you can defend against them because we have better aerial players than they do because they don't play with a proper striker who's good in the air. So that's how we defend against them. The issue is whether we can score against them. Now, obviously, on Sunday, we got a penalty, which was really useful for us. And it forced City to open up and try and come at us a bit, which gave us more space. We should have scored more goals. If we had better players in the middle of the pitch and, Martial actually took his chance, we should have scored more goals because we would have created a lot more chances. And to be honest, when City went a goal down, they had to sort of go for it, especially in the second half because their first half performance was awful. It was really, really poor. So they had to do something in the second half. But I think with how we set up against Manchester City, we know what to do against them. And I'm not going to say it's easy or anything because it's not. Manchester City are a quality team. And even though they were even though they weren't great, they still created a few chances against us as well. 2 of which Sterling should have done better with. Foden had a chance. There was a chance for Gabriel Jesus as well, where he went smacking into the post. So it's not like they didn't create chances against us or anything. It's just we know how to defend against them better. So it limits their opportunities to get in behind our defence in that, personally. But in terms of the Crystal Palace game, the Crystal Palace game was a disgrace. The performance was a disgrace. Not one player wanted to win that game. Actually, wait, I would say Luke Shaw probably wanted to win that game. Luke Shaw. He played fine. But not one player even bothered. It was like they were just saving their energy. They weren't running around. They weren't pressing. They weren't making movements to try and break down Crystal Palace's defence. It was awful. Genuinely awful.
Yeah. No, I watched it. I
watched
it. Well, I watched enough of it, actually. I fell asleep in the second half. I'm not going to lie. I was that bored of that game. I fell asleep.
You were lucky.
Yeah, you've already said that to me.
Yeah.
But I want to get into something else because I'm sure Jan's sick of talking about this game as well because she's been on every stream. And yeah, I just wanted to talk about it a little bit because we won, and I love it when we beat City. I want to talk about strikers. So I've just been watching him actually on TV right now. Obviously, Aguero looks like there's a good chance he's going to leave City. Jesus isn't a striker for me. He's and definitely
No.
if he is, not professional football. Cavani for me is Man United's only striker. Greenwood's too young for me to put in there. Martial for me is not a number 9. He's not a striker. He's not, and if he is, he's not at the elite level. I see him as a wide forward. So if Cavani's dads came out today, said Cavani 60% chance he's going back to South America to play football, which means there won't be a contract extension for him. Mm-hmm. So then we're looking at the 2 Manchester clubs, in my opinion, without a striker. Mm-hmm. Now, there's been strong links. Chelsea been linked as well. So Jan knows what I'm going to say. Strong links from Chelsea as well for Haaland. Now, I think Man United could get Haaland, but they'll waste the window and get Danny Ings on a free. That's what I've been saying the whole time. That's what I believe will happen because that's Ed Woodward for you. Who do you both feel needs a striker more, and who stands more chance of getting a Haaland out of the 2 clubs? Forget Chelsea because that's Chelsea. Forget them. Let's talk about the Manchester clubs. Who's more likely to get him, do you feel?
If Manchester City wants him, then Manchester City gets him. If United wants him, United don't get him.
Is it that simple? Yeah. The reason why I ask this, right? The reason why I ask this is because I'm told by City fans all the time, we wanted Harry Maguire, you got him. We wanted Sanchez, you got him. We wanted Fred, you got him. That's why I'm asking the question. So, because for one, I don't believe that Man City actually wanted all these players. I don't actually think that's true. But if it is true, how are Manchester United able to get these players instead of Man City? And why wouldn't that be the case now?
Manchester City's board are intelligent. They know not to spend 80 million on Maguire. They know not to spend 50 million on Fred. They know not to spend anything on Alexis Sanchez. So it's really that simple for me. They're just more intelligent people running their football club. That's it. They knew better. They were not going to spend 80 million on Maguire when they probably value him at around 40, 45 maybe. 50 if you're really pushing it. But yeah. I don't think it's complicated. I literally just think our board is that stupid. That's it for me. Honestly, it's just that.
So you don't feel that there's a possibility Man City go in for Haaland, make a bid, and Man United just offer more money? Because that's pretty much what it feels like has happened with all the other transfers. You don't think United are going to do something like that? It's not possible for them to do that. We know. I mean, I know Man United aren't going to be looking at getting a Haaland and trying to get the best deal and encourage him to join the club because of their project or their plan. I don't think they can sell that to him because a project or plan to make money isn't really a way of bringing footballers in. Footballers don't really care about that. Whereas Man City obviously have a plan. It's to win trophies. They're set up to win. But you don't think Man United can go in and just say, okay, City have offered you this, we'll offer you this much. Here's your contract. Offer them a better deal financially. Would that sway a Haaland, do you feel, or not?
Well, offering Haaland more money might sway him, but I don't know. Maybe I give football players too much credit, but if you look at Manchester United and you see the sort of disarray that's been going on in terms of transfers, in terms of everything that goes on, the uncertainty of Oli as well, I think that played a part in why he didn't come to United in the first place as well. So if you see that Manchester United are in need of players, which everyone knows we are, and you see that the transfer window isn't great, Paul Pogba wants to leave, I think. And if he does stay, it's because no one can afford him. I think that
maybe
you sort of see like a half-built team and a manager whose future is always uncertain. And you think, do I really want to join that? So I don't know. I don't know about that one because I don't know, if I'm a football player of that quality, I don't think I'd want to go to United, unless I'm a United fan, which I am, so I would want to go. But if you're not a United fan, I don't see why you would go. Honestly, I don't get it.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, because you have Man City winning trophies, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I would say in the next 5-6 years they're going to be winning more trophies, and unless something terrible happens. But what if you could say to Haaland, here's the project, here's the dream, here's what we want you to be. We want you to be the number 9 that comes in and changes. Like, basically, sell him some Ed Woodward bullshit, put him on lots of money. Do you think you can sway a player like this away from a side that's winning trophies? Is that possible? Or is it wrapped up completely if Man City want him?
I guess it's possible. Like, we don't know Haaland personally or what his motives are, to be fair. How old is he? Is he like 20? 21?
He's 20 years old. From the reports I've read from the statements his dad has put out, his next move will still be about his development.
So he'd view us as a stepping stone before Real Madrid or Barcelona probably go in for him. If that's the case, then I guess he would come.
Yeah, because Ed Woodward would see it as, we can make money here, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, if you put it like that, yeah, I guess so. But
so,
that's just sad to think about.
It is, but it's true. Jan, from your point of view, how do you see it? And I know you've already said that Pep doesn't really want a striker, according to Arteta. Do you feel that Haaland would add a lot to your side? Do you feel that he's a player that you desperately need? Do you feel like Pep wants him? And when it comes to competition for him, do you feel like you can get a Haaland over the line?
Oh, do you know what? I think I want him. I don't know if Pep wants him. Like, City fans want him. City fans have wanted him a long time, to be honest. But yeah, I don't know. I think in terms of Pep, if Pep wants him, then I think we would have a good chance of getting him. Simply because of all these links to Man City. Like, apparently he left the Man City fan group a year ago because City fans were asking him, when are you coming to City? When are you coming to City? So he left. And it was like a Man City fan thing. So I know a lot of people say he supports this team and he supports that team. Like, he's a Man City and Leeds fan. That's what his dad says. He's been to City games. He wears City shirts. So I think he's a City fan. That being said, it's a job to them. So as much as he might be a City fan, if he's going to earn a lot more money, it kind of would make sense for him to pick that option. But that being said, like you say, depending on his development, it's what projects can be offered to him. Because I don't know, he might feel like he wouldn't start every week at City. I think he would, but he might feel like he wouldn't. So it just depends on what we can offer him. Apparently his dad has a big influence in what he says, and obviously his dad's got a close relationship with Man City. But his agent is someone that Man City don't like to work with. So there's quite a lot of sort of ifs or buts there. Apparently Roman wants him, and he's willing to pay whatever.
Roman wants every bit of young talent.
Yeah. So I don't know. It just depends. Like, I think if I was him, I'd be looking at Man City thinking, you can come into this team. City are building a team of young players. So he could come into a team with Phil Foden and stay with Phil Foden for the rest of their careers. You know, he could come in with like a Ruben Diaz and stay with Diaz for the rest of his career. So City are kind of building a young squad, which might appeal to him. I don't know. I just don't know. With City, they have a very strict budget when it comes to spending. They won't go over a certain amount. It happened with Van Dijk. As Haaland just scored again. Jeez, this guy, man. I can't. I can't cope, man.
Oh,
I love
a great goal.
I love him, man.
Goal.
He's just too much. Too much. I hope Pep is watching this. Pep better be watching this. Honestly, I can't
It's
see.
next
You know
level,
what? Right? The thing is, City. I don't know. City have been linked to him for a while, and so I don't know if it's just lies because his dad used to play for City, or whether it's actually genuine interest. I know obviously he's got links to United because of Ollie, but like you say, it's whether the job security is there. Because if Ollie
I
signs
don't
like a
think it's
long
just
term
Ollie though. Yeah, and I don't think it's just Ollie. I think I actually think there's a lot in it. You think when Man United last had a number 9, 20 goals a season, like a great striker, that's got to be Van Persie, one you could actually rely on every season. The player profile, like you talk about Man City having a young squad, Man United have got a pretty young squad. When it comes to the players that have been brought in. The only difference is that you have a board, like Rachel says, and backroom staff that actually know what they're talking about. The reason why I think Man United would look at going for Haaland is what Rachel said before, is that you could put him, he's 20 years old. He's not going to come into his prime till he's 27, 28. You could put him on a 5-year contract, buy him this window at a reduced fee, and make money on him. That's why I think a club like Manchester United would go for him. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will want him. He knows Man United need a striker. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
And he's young enough to make money on. Chelsea, I'm not convinced on the Chelsea links. I've got to be honest. I think most of the...
He said that he wouldn't go to Chelsea. Apparently,
he said he'd like...
I don't know if it's true.
He said he'd like to play football in London.
Yeah.
That could be Dortmund drawing Chelsea in the Champions League. That could be absolutely anything. I'd like to play football in London, but maybe he will go to Chelsea. I'm not saying that he won't. I'm not saying that he won't. I just feel it's kind of like when I look at like a Werner, I don't see a Werner Haaland relationship. I don't see that. When I look at Chelsea, I think creative winger needed. If I'm honest, like I can't see why they would go out and do that. They probably need to get a goalkeeper. They would feel a centre back, maybe a right back, Aspilicueta. Maybe it's time to replace Kante. There's a lot that they could do, and I'm not sure whether Tuchel will want to spend that money. If he wants a striker, I think they're probably, to get the best out of Werner, they'd be better off spending the money and getting a Harry Kane. A player who can link play really well, great goal scorer. But I was gonna ask you, back to the Manchester clubs. Do you think there's any chance that a Sancho would go back to City? Do you think that's possible? I've got to ask the question.
I don't think so.
Just gone.
Because he was at City, and apparently, what I heard, because obviously, like, I don't watch the youth players too much, but a lot of the City fans that I know watch like all of the teams across the board. So obviously you hear about Sancho. He wasn't the only one. Foden was one of the names as well. And we heard that he was good. And then the next minute we heard that he wanted to play in the first team. But the thing is, it's like you have to take the step. You can't just go from sort of playing under 23s every week to going straight into the first team. You normally start training with the first team first, then you go to like a cup game and maybe play against like a Cheltenham. And then after that, you might sort of, I don't know, go to, sorry, I just like touched the penalty, got saved. Oh Lord, wow, okay. But yeah, you might go to like a Cheltenham and then play. And then if you're good, you'll play. Like Foden, it took him a little while to get into the team. Same with like the ones that have come through, like Delap and Tommy Doyle and them ones. So yeah, it takes a little bit of time, and I think Jadon Sancho wanted to be given like a first team position where he like starts and stuff like that. And City at the time were like, we can't offer you that because you've not even been in the first team yet. So apparently, then he refused to come to training, and he basically said that he was homesick and he wanted to move back to London. And that's what he said. So he left, obviously, and then ended up in Germany. So it's one of them things. But I don't know if the bridges are a bit burnt. I don't know. I can't see Haaland at City. As much as I want him, I can't see it. I want to be wrong. I want him to come in, but I could not see him in a City shirt. And it's annoying because I really want him.
I always seen I know he's signing a new deal. He scored again. A Martinez from Inter. I always thought he would be a perfect fit in terms of a striker. What's your thoughts, Rachel, on Sancho? Obviously, like left City, gone to Dortmund, wants to leave Dortmund. Obviously, last summer we all thought Sancho was coming in, and when he turned up, he looked exactly like Cavani. So, what do you think is going to go on with the Sancho saga, if you like, when it comes to Manchester United, Man City, the Chelseas? Where's he likely to go?
And
it's
so difficult believing he could come United.
Do you feel we need him? Do you feel that's a priority signing for either of the Manchester clubs? Obviously, Man United not having a right winger.
We definitely need a right winger, and he would be a great fit. My issue with bringing in Sancho and Haaland and all this lot is it doesn't change the area that I think we should be prioritizing, and that's midfield. Our central midfield players are awful. So for me, I'd love Sancho, I'd love Haaland, but there's no point bringing those two players in when it's not going to change much, if I'm being honest. They might add a few goals, there might be a few more moments that would be great, but I mean, you saw it against City on Sunday, right? We're playing against Manchester City, we're counter-attacking, we're defending well, and in transition, when there's so much space to pass into, and they manage to screw it up. Do you know what I mean? And we're not going to be playing counter-attacking football every game. Sometimes we're going to be on the front foot, have more possession like we would against Crystal Palace, and our midfielders won't be able to get the ball to them. Again, like you'd have to rely on Jadon Sancho literally picking up the ball, trying to take on a bunch of players and hopefully score a worldie. Do you know what I mean? So it's difficult. I think I'd love those two players at the club, but if we get one of them, that means that we're probably going to get Danny Drinkwater from the midfield, as you always say. And and Tyrone Mings. And for me, that's not good enough. You need quality players and we need quality midfielders, and we don't have any. I'm honest with you.
No, I would agree. Part of what we're going to do with these shows is also ask the rival fan what they think needs to happen with Manchester United. Forget the board because we can't deal with them. Whatever you. In terms of football and players we should be bringing in or roles we should be filling. As a Man City fan, when you look at Manchester United, what do you feel they need? What are their if they could sign 2 top players this window, what positions should they fill?
Is this for United or for City?
For Man United. For Man United.
Okay,
man, you got enough players, man. What's wrong with you? You don't
give us some players. What is this?
You got enough.
Do you know what? Like, I don't watch Man United every single week. Obviously, I watch them a bit now because I do watch alongs, but don't watch them every week. But a lot of the United fans that I know, they sort of complain about the same thing. And they say that Martial gets no service. The striker gets no service, whether that's Cavani, Martial, Greenwood, whoever's playing up front, they say they don't get no service. So I agree with Rachel that you probably need something in the midfield. I think Pogba is your best midfielder. I've always said that. And obviously when he's missing, we're seeing, you beat Man City, but it's one of them things where it's the games against Crystal Palace where you would expect to win that. And I think if Pogba plays that, you win that. So, I think Pogba's important, depending on whether he leaves or not. I don't think he will leave, to be honest. But if he did leave, you'd need to replace him. Jadon Sancho, I can see him joining Man United, to be honest. I can see it happening. I think he sort of already had in his head that he was going there. But I don't know. It depends because, like we were talking about,
no? Do you not think that? Like he could look at this the other way round as well. Like I thought this deal was going to happen. You told me it was going to happen, and now it's not.
You could. I don't know. I can just imagine him joining Man United, but I think it's interesting because we'll have to see what happens because I don't think Dortmund are going to sell both Haaland and Sancho in one window. even though they do need money. So I don't know whether they will or not. Apparently, I've heard a lot of rumours about Haaland, and one of them rumours said that Man City would probably waiver the sell-on fee for Jadon Sancho, so that they get more money for Jadon Sancho if they can get Haaland at maybe a slightly reduced price, or maybe pay it over more years or whatever. I don't know. So I don't know how true that is or not, but I think that might make a big difference, because if they get told that, okay, we'll buy Haaland, but they get the full amount for Jadon Sancho, and Man United come in with a decent offer, they might take it, and then you might get him. So I don't know. It depends. It just depends what happens. But I think probably fix your midfield a little bit. You probably, if Cavani leaves, you will need probably a striker, because I think Martial and I think Gabby are both not a natural number 9. You can tell by the way that they get into the box, and
they're the only two that are really just above Joel Linton. Do you know what I mean? Like everyone else, everyone else is above them.
In the box, just shoot. Like you've got Joe Cancelo, who is a right back. Is more likely to shoot than Gabby. Like to me, it just doesn't make much sense. Like I don't know.
Do you guys have a Gabby FC?
Do you know what? No, but I think like people like me, like people think I'm like his biggest fan. I'm not his biggest fan. It's just because everyone slates him, I defend him. But I defend all City players. Like I actually don't have any City player that I'm like I dislike.
Yeah, but that's because you support a club where you have like Gabby's your worst player. Do you know how much Newcastle players would kill for Gabby right now? Like that's just where you are. Let's get to a few comments. People aren't serious. Haaland reject us already. Actually, I think it was a good business move not to get him. And part of that was
I thought it was based on Ollie's uncertainty at the club at the time, because remember it was during the bad December and January where we were dropping a lot of points and it looked like he was going to get sacked.
And all the Ollie outers on social media actually was a big part. His dad said he was on. It's actually a fact. It's actually a fact.
He did say that.
Part of why Manchester United didn't sign Haaland was because of the whole, will Ollie keep his job or not? You don't think these people look at socials? Ironic, isn't it?
We do, yeah. And Lam looks at socials because he likes a lot of tweets. Like City fans will do something, they'll like it because he's, or his dad will like it. So they do look at social media.
Yeah, of course they do. Yeah, trust me, the Glazers are rubbing their hands every time someone tweets Ollie out. They love it. They absolutely love it. People doing their job for him, man. Sancho comes would get called a flop because of this awful system. Rachel's in charge of tactics and systems on this channel. Do you feel that? Do you feel that he would? Do you feel like he would flop if he came to Man United, Sancho, or is he too good? Would he adapt? Would we see anything near what we see at Dortmund with Sancho?
Depends on the rest of our signings, to be honest with you. As I said before, if we don't fix that midfield, then it doesn't matter to me. Like, it won't matter if Jadon Sancho comes, we'll struggle anyway. So, in terms of the system, I would love to hear. I didn't know who made the comment, but I would love to know what they think the system actually is. But I don't know. Like, it's a weird one. Like, our system, there's nothing wrong with the system per se. It just needs a lot of holes filling at the moment. I'm not saying it's the perfect system because it isn't, but our system relies on our left side a hell of a lot. Everything is down the left. The right side literally only gets the ball if they win the ball back on the right side. We don't utilize the right side. So will Sancho give us more options on the right side? Yes. I think we'll still play very left-sided because a certain right back that we have is not good enough on the ball. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, even if I know people will say that if we get a right winger, it will help him, but he's not good enough on the ball to play the football that we try to play on the left side. So his passing is
that link between Luke Shaw and Rashford is a massive part of Rashford's game now.
Yeah.
It just really clicks. Yeah, I agree with you.
Luke Shaw can pass the ball consistently. He's actually a very good passer of the ball, Luke Shaw. Obviously, he has those moments where he just brain farts, but all of our players do. So with Luke Shaw, I think he's just a better football player overall than Aaron Wan-Bissaka. He's better at carrying the ball. He's better at passing. The runs that he makes are better. They've improved a lot in the last couple of years, but they're just better now. He's a much better fullback. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is a good one-on-one defender. He's still got issues in defence as well, by the way. He's not a perfect defensive fullback. So for me, if we get Jadon Sancho, people are going to start to realise, well, actually, we need a right back as well. And that causes another issue.
We've been looking at them, haven't we? We've been linked to them. So it's not like the club hasn't realised this. Like we were, if the whole scandal didn't happen with Trippier, we probably would have got him in on a loan, which is a completely different option to Wan-Bissaka. I know they're talking about Darlow. I'm not too sure on that one yet. Like him coming back in. But
he has more technical ability than Wan-Bissaka, but
he does.
Whether he can thrive in the Premier League is different.
Yeah, no, I'm not convinced on that one. Again, we're not all Man City with Kyle Walker sat on the bench ready to come on. Do you know what I mean? We're not all that blessed. Do you know what? Yeah, jealous a little bit, just a little bit. What do you, Rachel? What do you think Man City need to buy? What do you think they should be looking at before we wrap up?
A left back. They haven't had a left back in years. Probably a striker. Do you know what, the striker thing's really hard though, because, well, Jan, from your point of view, do you think Haaland suits the way you guys play football?
I don't know, because people say that, but I think we have like the way City play, like we have everything in terms of we can literally do anything, but then when it comes to the final shot, a lot of the time it's off. Like if you think about how many chances Man City create and how many we score, the numbers are like that. Like we create this much and we only score this much. So if we had like a Haaland, someone that can just put everything in, like I think we score ridiculous, because we already score a lot of goals, but I think we score so much more. I don't know system-wise, like when I watch Haaland, he just looks like he's so clinical, and I just think that's what we're lacking. Because even our best players are not clinical enough. So it says it all. So yeah, I don't know too much. I think Pep would probably adapt him and probably change his game a little bit if he did come in. But yeah, I just want someone clinical, and if it's him, then it's him. I know we've been linked with Martinez, who I haven't watched, to be honest. I don't really know anything about him, apart from the fact that he plays for Inter Milan. So yeah, I don't know anything about him. But apparently he kind of reminds people of like a Sergio Aguero. So I think that's why people are saying they could see him at Man City, because it will be like a like-for-like swap. But yeah,
he's not a Sergio Aguero. I think he's more of a second striker or even false nine. He's an actual false nine that can finish. He's not a pseudo false nine like Gabriel.
For me, he seems like a Pep type player. Like he'll come deep. Player, yeah. He's quite comfortable on the ball. Can score all types of goals. Quick feet. He's just great instincts in the box as well. Really good. Like he'd shoot from outside the box. He's a good player, but he's still young. I think he's only like 20, 21 maybe. He's a young.
He's better against low blocks than Haaland as well. Because the German football is they tend to play with high lines in Germany. They don't play with low blocks often. So Lautaro Martinez, I think he'd be more successful than Werner, to be honest with you. But I think with Martinez's movement, he's much better in situations where there isn't a lot of space and he still manages to find it. Okay. I don't think Haaland is. Well, I wouldn't say he's not good at it. We haven't seen enough to know if he will actually thrive in the Premier League in those situations. Like when he's up against teams like Burnley who defend, they're compact. He's not going to get a lot of space, so it's quite difficult to know. Yeah. He might struggle at first and get used to it, but Lautaro Martinez is all about movement.
Yes,
he's got fantastic movement, and he's much better at breaking down low blocks. Yeah,
he's more Tevez-y than he is Aguero. I would say. Okay. There's more like the positions he picks up where he likes to pick up the ball. He always likes to come quite deep for the ball. and he's just one of those tricky players. He's like a nuisance player, you know. But yeah, he'd be great. He'd be great at City. The reason why I don't think Haaland would be is because if there's any part of Haaland's game that I'd like to see him develop, it would be his link play. That's for me. He gets away with it because he's so strong and powerful and quick, right? But sometimes for some reason, his first touch running into the box, he always sets himself. If he's got his back to goal, a lot of the time, and I'm really picking holes in his game here. Like a lot of the time, he can lose control of the ball, but then his pace and power, he can keep up and win the ball back. But that doesn't, because that's one of the flaws I see in his game. I don't know whether that's a Pep type player or Pep would look at it as he's a young player. Maybe we should look at developing him. But we'll just have to see what happens. We talk like this, and you'll end up at Real Madrid. Do you know what I mean, or Bayern Munich?
Yeah.
So,
I'd love the Spanish league.
I just can't imagine him at City. Like I can't, even though I want him, like I can't imagine him at City. So I can imagine City getting like a Martinez. I can see it because usually with City, like they buy the player that you don't expect. So if everyone is expecting Haaland, we won't get Haaland. Like it's kind of like when it was like everyone was practically saying Koulibaly's coming, and then next minute we get Ruben Diaz. So Bernardo Silva, we thought he was going to Man United. He was like, he's in Manchester. Man United fans were celebrating, saying, "Oh, he's in Manchester. He's come to time for us." Next day, Man City say, "Oh, we've got a new signing." No one knew he was coming to City. There was no links there. We were looking at, I think, Fabinho at one point, but it wasn't him. Like I can't remember who we were looking at, but it definitely wasn't Bernardo Silva. So, yeah, I think City sort of buy the less obvious player, and I think Haaland is quite obvious. So that is, for me, is why I can't see him at City. I'd love him to come, but I just can't see it. Apparently, Bayern Munich want him now, and you know what Bayern Munich are like.
Yeah, they'll do some sort of deal where they don't get him till next year, but keep him at Dortmund, like loan him back. And then make their money by moving Lewandowski on or something to Real Madrid. Do you know what I mean? They'll do it. They'll do it that way.
Wait, is he in his final year of his contract? He might come to us.
I wouldn't say no, though. I wouldn't say no.
To be fair, he's actually an elite player, but still.
Yeah. I wouldn't say no. Listen, we're going to wrap it up, but everyone's links in the description. Jan's links, her channel's in there. You can catch her on Sarcasm City. You can catch her on a Thursday night at 10 o'clock on this channel with the Offside Rule Ladies Show. It's a great show. Please go and check that out. You can catch Rachel on it. Hopefully every day now. I can be a bit more consistent with things. We can do a few more United streams and get that sorted. Some tactical stuff. She's been working really hard, actually. So we're doing some player profiles, looking at players we should be bringing into United, breaking down the play, tactical stuff. So I'm looking forward to doing those. That should be really fun because we're going to get somebody who believes in the player, doesn't believe in the player to come on the stream as well. Maybe some stats guys and just do something a little bit different and give you a whole view of that player and that system. But thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you tonight. I nearly forgot. There's a stream tonight, 10:30. Next Generation Football. Samuel, Sonny, LFC Sonny, that is, ads, all of those, all talking football from their perspective under the age of 25. It's a great show. They have great fun doing it. So go and check that out, people. But we'll catch you later on.